Surfing. In my late 20s and early 30s, it was something I did a lot of. I grew up in Western New York, boogie boarding on Lake Erie as a kid, so when I moved to Los Angeles to chase the dream, surfing seemed like an obvious habit to pick up. I lived in Santa Monica for a few years. My apartment was less than 2 miles from the ocean, and the dude I shared a duplex with was an old, semi-famous surfer named Bobby who had a room full of old boards and wetsuits, and I bought what I needed to get started from him for way more than that board and wetsuit were worth, with the promise that Bobby would teach me how to surf. And I spent about an hour every morning for about a month paddling out at El Porto on a thin 6'10" thruster, getting absolutely pummeled before one day standing up and riding the foam for a few feet. You could say I was determined, you could maybe say I was just stupid, but after that first wave, you could absolutely say I was hooked. I lived in Southern California for another 3.5 years, and I surfed as much as I could, mornings and afternoons, before and after work, mostly at point breaks like Sunset and County Line, and I even achieved local status at Topanga. I made friends with guys whose real names I still don't know to this day, and when, after a couple years of spending a lot of time in the ocean, I finally ran into Bobby, the semi-famous surfer, on a heavy day at Topanga and was about to give him a hard time about not giving me surfing lessons, I was placated by him paddling over and saying, "Bro, I just saw you rip on that last set. I knew you'd figure it out. Proud of you, bro." I was flattered and proud. An oddly related series of events, the Northridge earthquake, an offering of a recording contract, passing the audition at the BlueBird Café, had me changing plans, heading back east, and settling in Nashville in the fall of 1994. Unless, I suppose, you've ever been addicted to opiates, you can't imagine what it was like for me to go cold turkey off of surfing. For the first few years I lived in Nashville, I bartended and worked construction here and there, and I delivered for a catering company and striped parking lots, and had a flexible schedule that allowed me to co-write songs during the day, and if there was a tropical depression happening in the Atlantic, I was unfazed by driving 9 hours through the night to get a surf fix at Folly Beach, South Carolina the next morning. I did that a lot. And when I went home to Western New York to visit family, I brought my boards and I surfed the wind shop on Lake Erie, and I surfed Virginia Beach and the Bahamas and Biarittz in France. I'd visit my sisters who had followed me to LA and surf at my old spots, and when my wife and I got married, I surfed in Spain on our honeymoon, and after we got married, I'd get gigs on the West Coast and get in as much time in the water as I could, and then we had a baby. Willow was 2 the first time we brought her out to visit my sisters in LA. We stayed for a week and a half that first trip, and since it had been a while since I had caught any waves, I did some heavy prep and hit the gym pretty hard with a lot of upper body strength training, and that prep really paid off. I caught more waves in those first few surfing sessions than I can remember ever catching in previous trips. I surfed Sunset, I got seriously pitted at Malibu, and I had a seriously fun session catching some clean, smaller waves at El Porto on my last day of the visit. About an hour into that last session, I hopped off my board after riding the shore break all the way into the beach and stepped off onto what I thought was broken glass. A quick check of my foot showed no blood. Maybe that was just a sharp rock, I'm thinking. It was maybe 7 a.m. I figured I had another hour before my wife Deb would be finished with her coffee and wondering where the hell I was, so I paddled back out. Another dude who had been about 50 feet away from me in the lineup most of the morning immediately paddled over to me. "Hey man, did I just hear you yelp?" "Oh shit, did I sound like a little girl?" "Bro, I think you just stepped on a stingray." "Huh? Seriously, they have them around here?" 30 plus years of surfing, I'd never seen one. "Yeah man, check your foot." I did. "Check it again. Is there a little red dot?" I looked at my foot again. Yeah, kinda." "Dude, I think you stepped on a ray." "No shit." "Yeah man, hate to tell you this, but it's really gonna hurt like hell when you get out of the water. The salt kinda neutralizes the venom, but when your skin hits the air, it's gonna hurt like hell. I'd make plans to visit an urgent care on your way home, and I'd plan on soaking that foot in hot water and try to draw the venom out. I know this because it's happened to me a couple times, sort of be the bearer of bad news." And I caught 2 or 3 more waves and then decided I'd have to face the situation and get out of the water. Here in the hellish landscape that is California, it's a horrible morning in El Segundo. I mean, look at all those people, just miserable people out there in the water. This is terrible. I don't know why anyone would want to live here. I waited for the pain. It didn't come.
Hola a todos, es Juan Patricio. Ahorita estoy en California del Sur y ayer estuve aquí y estaba bromeando. Estamos bromeando que California del Sur no es un buen lugar, es un hermoso lugar. Y es muy cerca de mi corazón y estaba bromeando. Me encanta.
I drove back to my sister's and had coffee with Deb with my foot soaking in hot water and then in cold water. The pain never came. I took ibuprofen and soaked. The pain never came. The wife and child and I returned to Nashville. And then I started having knee issues. Swelling above the knee and shin splints below. It got so bad after a couple months that I not only couldn't run anymore, I hobbled everywhere I went. I wasn't really thinking that there was a connection between maybe stepping on a ray and how my knee hurt. I just knew it hurt. I tried, not very religiously, the whole low-inflammatory diet thing. That might have helped a little. I went to an acupuncturist. I'm not sure that helped at all. I started drinking a concoction made with turmeric and apple cider vinegar and honey. It may have helped a bit. I started a self-guided physical therapy program. Definitely helped. And I started drinking AG1. It has adaptogens, whatever they are, in it. First thing in the morning every day, followed by mushroom coffee, followed by cachava, more adaptogens, and finishing every day with a cup of Beam, more adaptogens. And I'm not quite healed, but I might be 85 to 90% of the lousy athlete I was 2 years ago. So, when the wife and I and my sisters decided to forego our annual ski trip,
I am Hans, and this is my sister Goethe. We want you to know that when you ski with us, there is no slow zone.
in favor of the wife and child and I visiting the sisters in California this spring, I got excited about the idea of going surfing and maybe even teaching the child to surf.
Going to LA, we're going to LA. Willow's whole family is going to LA. To LA. We're going to LA.
And while Willow made a lot of progress in her swimming lessons, her life as a surfer girl will have to wait a while. She's not quite there yet. And while my gym routine was not adhered to like I had intended, and my knee is still a little wonky, I was stoked about catching some waves on this trip. With one caveat. What if there's a legitimate swell? Meaning, what if there are big waves? I mean, back in the day when I surfed a lot, I had no qualms about paddling out on a heavy day and waiting for the freight train. But that was years ago, and I'm not that young anymore, and I'm not in shape like I was, and I'm out of practice, and I made the mistake of sharing all those fears that were in my subconscious and saying something before heading out to surf that second morning in an Instagram post that I was about to go for a surf, and I hope the waves were big enough to have some fun, but not big enough to kill me. Day 2 in Los Angeles. Well, maybe day 3, officially. Up early. Had I'm out of breath. Had a couple of cups of coffee to try and get my guts all straight before I go try and catch some waves today. According to the report, there's a bit of a swell, which a bit of a swell is going to be good, but a big swell will kick my ass, and probably not the best to go out having not surfed in 2 years, but hopefully it'll be not too big. What surfer ever hopes for that? But smaller waves, but surfable waves will be good today. We'll see. We've got the awesome surf Jeep loaded. This is my sister Lizzie's early 90s Jeep. Look at the CJ. Awesome surf mobile. I think there's waves today. Hopefully not the kind that'll kill me, but we can go out and try and catch a few. And then I realized what I had said, and that it would be morbidly prophetic if something dire did indeed happen to me during this surf session. And then to make matters worse, I looked at my phone and noticed that it was Friday the 13th. I'm not superstitious. I'm really not. I did kind of freak myself out a little. Okay, maybe a lot. But the board and the wetsuit were loaded into the Jeep already, and I had a nice tall travel cup of mushroom coffee and had all that anticipation built up from almost 2 years out of the Pacific, so I got into some god-awful surface traffic and soldiered on. Wow. So, got up this morning nice and early to go surfing. Started making coffee, then Deb woke up and we decided to have coffee together, and I'm hanging out and having a second cup of coffee, and it was 7 o'clock before I left the guest house to get out in the water, and I forgot how ridiculous LA traffic is. And I left my sister's a good 45 minutes ago, and I don't think I've gone a mile. Unbelievable. If we thought we had it bad in Nashville, it could be way worse. And I arrived at Manhattan Beach a full hour and 15 minutes later. Made it to El Porto an hour and change later. Decent sized waves at the moment, not huge, not too small. Fair amount of people out. So trying to find a spot that's not too crowded and catch a few. And yes, there was a building swell, and yes, there were a lot of surfers in the lineup, and yes, I paddled out anyway, and yes, I got worked. More than anything, though, I was humbled. Surfing can be a contemplative, solitary endeavor if you're willing to travel far enough away from the madding crowd. More usually, it's a group sport and a party wave, especially in LA. You wipe in an easy wave, someone else will be on it immediately, and someone else will have seen you wipe and is having a good laugh at your expense. You're a kook, a Barney. Get out of the lineup, bruh. I was now in the impact zone, that area where the waves are breaking and the rip is running, and it's tough enough to paddle out through this shit when you're young and in shape, but I am neither. And I got worked and was reminded after almost 2 years out of the water that it's really difficult, if not impossible, to duck dive under big waves with an 8-foot foam surfboard. Damn it all. I left the 6-foot fish design out here 20 years ago that would have been perfect for these conditions, but it got emancipated and I never replaced it. So I let myself get washed under the shore break, and I thought I could practice that pop-up move I was supposed to have worked on at home by riding the foamies. A practice used by beginners to learn to stand up on a surfboard in the already broken waves known as shore break. So I did that, and it was fun. So I did it again, and maybe a few more times, and then I remembered what I had said about dying, and that it was still very much Friday the 13th, and that Deb would probably be finishing her second cup of coffee right now, and that Willow would be wondering, where's Daddy? So I rode the foamies all the way in and called it a session. I let everyone on Instagram know I was still alive. So if you're watching this, I didn't die. I made the earlier post about the waves not killing me, then I thought that would be a terrible thing to make that post and then have something bad happen, but I'm here at Manhattan Beach, caught a few waves, caught some shore break is what I caught. It's not that big at all. It's not really that crowded, but it's big enough and crowded enough that it was like I haven't been in the water in 2 years, and trying to stay out of people's way. Got really super worked on my paddle out, and big set came in and just, man, I went through the rinse cycle a few times, and then missed a few good set waves, and then just came in and was caught inside again. So I rode the foamies and stood up on a couple shore break sets and just had a little bit of fun. And my knee was bugging me. I'm like, all right, this is good. I'll call it a day. So I'll go out again tomorrow and make sure to get out earlier. That was fun. The drive back to Lizzie's that had taken me an hour and 15 minutes heading out took me 15 minutes heading back. On the way, I second-guessed calling it a day so soon. I wondered when and if I'd get a chance to come back out to California anytime soon, and if I'd find time to surf again on this visit. I promised myself I'd get up at 5 a.m. the next morning and catch a session before the wife and child and sisters and I went up the coast to maybe Santa Barbara. And I did get up at 5 a.m. the next morning and had the Jeep loaded with my board and wetsuit and had my coffee and was about to split when my brother-in-law informed me that one of the headlights was out on the Jeep and that I should wait until the sun came up if I didn't want to get pinched, and that meant waiting until traffic on the 10 and 405 would be hellacious, and I thought, screw it, I'll just go Sunday morning instead. It's probably a good thing I didn't go, because I would have gone, and that swell that was building that first morning really built up the next day. I mean, to the point where Surfline issued a warning that the waves would be a solid 4 to 6 feet and that you should, quote-unquote, know your limits before pedaling out. In other words, kooks, stay home. That same day, the family went to Zuma and had a wonderful chill afternoon. With no room for them in the SUV and no rack, I left my surfboards at home just so I could witness some pretty slamming closeout sets hit Zuma all day long. And if they weren't rideable, they were inarguably big. And I mean big to the extent that when on the way back to Lizzie's at the end of the day, we were going past Malibu, and in the years of surfing the point, I'm not sure if I've ever seen a wave as big as the freight train that came through just as we were passing by. Holy shit, I'm going. Yeah, that one was kind of big, everyone else is saying. Kind of big? Whoever that dude was who was on it just had the ride of his life, I said. So I made plans in my mind to go surfing Sunday morning, and as the family had plans to go to Santa Barbara and come back Saturday night, it would have worked out. Then our flight back home got canceled, and we rescheduled to return on Monday, and then the question was, why not stay in Santa Barbara another night? So we did. And the old me probably would have blown off hanging out with my sisters and my wife and my daughter and gone surfing one more time. The older, now a father me, looked around at my sisters and my wife and my daughter and thought, this is what it's all about. Family time. We spent a super casual weekend hanging out, enjoying good meals, walking the beach, and not doing a whole lot. Willow went swimming in the pool with her aunties. We did some wine tasting in Santa Barbara, saw an amazing sunset, had some incredible Mexican food, and in the 30-some years I have been visiting Santa Barbara, I can't believe I have never checked out the old courthouse, but we did, and it's really beautiful, and I'd highly recommend it if you're visiting. We're here at the Santa Barbara City Courthouse. Willow's being filmed front. Nice. Can I have it back?
No.
Please? Willow is being a filmmaker. And we just viewed the clock going. That's pretty cool. Incredible view from up here. If you're traveling through Southern California, find yourself in Santa Barbara, I highly recommend this. It's really great. So I'm back in Nashville now, and I don't regret one bit making the memories I made with my family last week in California, even if it meant missing out on what they are now calling the swell of the spring. And I don't know just how soon we'll get back to the West Coast, but maybe there will be something surfable on Lake Erie when we all get together on the 4th of July. And if not, what's a 9-hour drive to Folly Beach anyway?